It's that time again, Phase 6 of Season of Discovery. It means the best quest in WoW history, not only for huge profit-making potential, but an epic Black Karaji battle tank as well. If you want to get your hands on this mount as quickly, as efficiently as possible, this is the ultimate guide to do it. But we'll also cover the war effort as well, something that's going to be going on throughout this entire process, and there's huge profit-making potential there. Starting with the war effort, this is way different than it was back in the day. You see, the war effort event is automatically going to complete whether your server actually does anything or not. But still, there's huge profit-making potential here, because there's going to be new NPCs in Orgrimmar and Ironforge, and they're going to accept all sorts of different items like runecloth bandages, for example. In return, they're going to give you these supply boxes and signets as well that turn into even more supply boxes. Inside of those boxes is going to be all sorts of green items that you can disenchant for greater eternal essence for large brilliant shards. Well, that's not going to be a lot of profit this phase. Next phase, when inflation starts to hit with Naxxramas, that's where you are going to really make a ton of profit. It's also worth noting, unless they change, that you have a limited amount of turn-ins per item. So you want to be the very first to turn in all these items you stockpiled so you don't get left holding the bag. I will put a full link in the description below the video with all the different items you can turn in for profit, and also the limits of how much you can turn in per item as well. We're not just here for profit though, we're also here for the Scarab Lord questline. This epic questline is massive, but extremely rewarding. The first thing we gotta talk about is what's new with the questline. And the most important thing to note is that it's a 3-week-long process now. That means a lot more people could potentially get the Scarab Lord mount, but the grind is still going to be massive. So the Scarab Lord questline, it all begins with Baristolth in Silithus, and you'll be going to him, picking up the quest, going to Caverns of Time. After doing those initial quests, you'll pick up a quest that is a huge bottleneck for most people getting Scarab Lord. So you'll have to get the head of Broodlord Lashslayer in BWL, so either make your own pug or get your guild to help you out at this point. So then it's back to Baristolth and Silithus, and this is where the infamous bug grinding is going to get started. You see, he's going to give you this task to get 200 carapaces, but that's really just the tip of the iceberg. You're going to need 41,300 carapaces. That is a lot of bugs to grind, but the trick is, every 200 carapaces, you'll be able to deputize someone with a proxy item. This item will allow other people to also loot the carapaces. You see, they are tradable items, it's just that you have to be deputized to be able to loot them. The idea being to pick the most trustworthy people that you know will actually help you to farm the carapaces, and those are the people you deputize, and then ideally, they will help you to get your 41,300 carapaces. Keep in mind though, a lot of these people are going to flake out on you, or worse yet, they might sell the carapaces they farm on the auction house, because people are going to buy this for big profit. Realistically, people are going to deputize their friends, their guildies, or even bribe people with gold to help them. So once you're neutral with Brood of Nosdorma, we're going back to Baristolth, and then we have to go all the way to the AQ entrance to touch a crystal. Then we're back to the Caverns of Time, we're going to Anachronos, and he's going to make us get 3 different Scepter Shards. The 3 different Scepter Shards are drastically different in difficulty. The Blue Scepter Shard is probably the most involved and involves quite a bit of raid-related stuff. Then the Green Scepter Shard is killing a bunch of elites, which can be logistically challenging. The Red Scepter Shard is the quickest, but not necessarily the easiest. You'll have to go into Blackwing Lair and talk to Veilstraz, and this is going to start a countdown clock where you have to kill Neff within 5 hours or you fail the quest. So back to the Green Scepter Shard. This is going to start with going to Aranicus, and we're not entirely sure how that's going to work out with the newly updated Sunken Temple. In Sunken Temple, you're getting a quest from Malfurion. Then you go to Teldrassil to talk to a Forest Wisp, which is not as easy as it sounds to get to for Horde players. Then you travel to Moonglade to Keeper Remulos. So at this point, we have one of my very favorite steps in the entire questline. We're going to be killing all sorts of elites, and we're trying to get these Scepter Fragments. This is a time to bring your friends together, maybe 5, 10 friends, and you're going to all the different incursion locations. For example, Ashenvale, Hinterlands. Some of these fragments might take hours to drop, in my experience back in 2019, but it's still a very good time to hang out with your friends on Discord. One of the fragments you need to get, though, is actually much harder. The one in Duskwood is an actual boss you have to fight right outside the incursion area, and historically this took up to 40 players to complete. But in Season of Discovery, I would expect you'll be able to do it with maybe 10 or 15 players. At that point, you go back to Keeper Remulos and Moonglade, And this is going to start this very difficult wave-based combat you'll have to do, ideally with a raid group. It culminates with having to fight a Ranicus, and this is not going to be an easy task to get the Green Scepter Shard. Then finally we have the Blue Scepter Shard. Now, this is going to start with the Spirit of Azurgos. You have to go all the way to Ashara. Then the next step is to travel to Narain and Steamweedle Port, and you're going to have to go to all these different locations like Silverpine Forest to touch a crate. You have to go to MC and farm trash to get goggles. Then you're back to Narain. He's going to send you to Dirge Quickleave. Dirge Quickleave is going to send you to Meat Island to farm Chimeraut Tenderloins. You also have to kill Lord Locamarin as well. And while back in 2019 this would have required a raid group, you can definitely do this with about 5 players now, no problem. After doing that, we've got to go back to Dirge, and you've got to get 20 Goblin Rocket Fuel and 20 Deep Rock Salt as well. What's cool about doing this step is you will be getting a very sick recipe for a Biz food buff for tanks. At this point, we're nearly done. We're going back to Narain and Steamweedle, and Narain is going to send you to an island south of Tanaris, the infamous island where you get fatigue and you could die going there. You've got to interact with the freshly dug dirt there, and then go back to Narain again to get a kit. That kit will contain a bag of gold. You're going to go take that bag of gold and place it in a specific location in Winter Spring. That's going to spawn a gorilla. You're going to have to kill the gorilla, and then we move on to the next step. That step is to collect 8 different pages from different locations in Azeroth. The first location is from Dr. Weevil. He's on Alcaz Island. You've also got to kill at least 1 demon in the Tainted Scar and Blasted Lands. You've got to kill 1 demon in Winter Spring as well. Then you've got to go to Undercity and touch a table. You've got to go to Stormwind and touch a table. You've got to go to Onyxia, kill Onyxia, and loot Onyxia. And you only get 1 item per kill, so keep that in mind. Then you also have to go to BWL and touch a table, before finally killing Ragnaros and then looting the item he drops. After that, you're back to Narain. And Narain requires a bunch of different items, 20 Arcanite bars, 10 Elementium ores, 10 Azerothian diamonds, and 10 blue sapphires as well. With that step out of the way, we're heading to Azshara to fight Moz. You could easily do this with 10 or 15 people, no problem. At that point, you finally have the blue scepter, and we're going back to Caverns of Time to complete our scepter. Then all you have to do sometime between 1 p.m. PST on December 4th and 1 p.m. PST on December 6th, you have to bang the gong at AQ40. That is going to give you a very cool selection of epic items to choose from, and also the Black Karaji battle mount to impress everybody. Then finally, December 6th, AQ40 and AQ20 are actually going to open, and you'll be able to really show off your cool new mount. Personally, I am so excited to go for Scarab Lord this time around. Let me know in the comments if you're going to do it as well. Thanks for watching, make sure to subscribe, and I won't gank you during the Scarab Lord grind. Then check out my ultimate Phase 6 DPS tier list next.